When you're making video content, capturing quality audio is super important. It sounds terrible. I can fix that, hold on. All right, is that better? That's still too much reverb. Just a second. All right, how about now? Good? Awesome. Bad audio can ruin even the most beautiful video, which is why it's so important to get a clean, quality capture of your audio. In this video, I'll share some tips and recommendations to help you do just that. Let's get into it. Hello creators, I'm Ben Tolson from Podia, where we empower creators like you to make a living doing what you love. I'm going to break these audio tips and recommendations into 3 separate sections: location, equipment, and performance. First, let's talk about where you're recording. When considering a room for recording, one of the first things you'll want to do is test the room for ambient noise. Stand quietly in the spot where you plan to record and listen for potential noise pollution. Is there road or pedestrian noise from outside? Can you hear the AC? Do you have noisy neighbors? Is your refrigerator running? You better catch it. You may be able to fix some of these things, like turning your AC off temporarily, recording at times that aren't as busy, and so on. If not, you might consider using a different room if that's possible, but either way, it's good to be aware of the noises your microphone could potentially pick up. Another important factor is the amount of reverb in a room. When we talk about reverb, we're talking about the sound that bounces off of surfaces like walls and floors and returns to the microphone. Generally speaking, the bigger the room and the harder the surfaces, the more reverb you'll experience. To provide the best experience for your viewer, you'll want to limit reverb as much as possible. And there are 3 ways to do this. 1. Avoid high reverb rooms. Rooms that have hard floors, lots of blank wall space, and limited furnishings will tend to have more reverb. And the larger the room, the more amplified that effect will be. 2. Use rooms that naturally reduce reverb. Carpeted rooms with curtained windows and cloth-based furnishings, especially if those furnishings come with pillows, can naturally reduce a great deal of reverb. You'll still want to test the room to see if it sounds echoey to you. My favorite way to do this is to clap and listen for how live or dead the sound is. Rooms with lots of reverb will sound live like this, as opposed to dead like this. 3. Make adjustments to your environment. If you need to use a room that has lots of reverb, you can purchase sound deadening or soundproofing kits that you can install to deaden the sound in your room. You can also use a microphone isolation panel if you're using microphones set up off screen. If you're on a budget, you could even use area rugs for the floors, hang thick curtains or blankets along walls, and bring in soft furniture. Now that you've got your location figured out, let's talk about what kind of equipment you should use and how best to set it up. I'm going to talk about 3 different mic styles and how best to use them. The first is the shotgun mic. A shotgun microphone captures most of its audio from the direction it's pointing, very little from the sides, and almost no audio from the opposite direction. This is my favorite type to use for recording because it does the best job of reducing ambient noise and makes the presenter sound like they're in the room with the viewer. I recommend the Rode NTG2 on the higher end and the Takstar SGC 598 on the lower end. For the best results, you want to set your shotgun microphone up on a boom arm above and angled down toward the subject, as close to the subject as possible but without being in the frame. If you can monitor your audio while you're recording, you want to make sure your audio level stays between the -12 and -6 decibel range. If you find that you're too loud or soft, change the position of the microphone and then adjust the input level before you adjust your speaking volume. We'll talk more about speaking volume here in just a moment. The second type of microphone is a cardioid microphone. These types of microphones are typically set up in the shot, either on a stand or on a desk, and capture most of their audio from the front, some audio from the sides, and a little bit of audio from behind. The reason these microphones are typically in the shot is because they need to be closer to the subject in order to get a clean audio capture. The Blue Yeti microphone is great if you're on a budget, and on the higher end, I highly recommend the Shure SM7B. When using a cardioid microphone, you want to make sure that whatever surface it's attached to or resting on doesn't vibrate or convey unwanted noises to the mic. For the best results, try to keep the microphone within about 4 to 6 inches of your mouth without covering your face. A third type of microphone you can use is a lapel microphone. The Rode SmartLav Plus is a good low-cost microphone if you're just starting out, and on the higher end, The Shure BLX14 CVL is a fantastic wireless lavalier system. Be sure to clip your lav mic between 4 to 6 inches away from your mouth for a good, clear audio capture. If you want to check out any of these microphones, I'm going to link them in the description below. Now that you've got your room figured out and the perfect microphone setup, there's one really important thing that we need to talk about, and that's your voice. Now, if you don't like hearing recordings of your own voice, you're not alone. In fact, most people don't. And that's because when we speak normally, we're actually hearing something different from what others are hearing. This is because we are listening to our own voices through something called bone conduction. That's the vibration of our voices in our bones, which makes our own voices sound richer and lower than they actually are. To others, they only hear what exits our throat and mouth. The bad news is you don't really have any control over that. The good news is you don't need to, because you have a beautiful voice. Trust me. What you can and should control is the volume of your voice and the cadence of your speech. For volume, you want to speak as if you're talking to someone who's standing about 6 to 8 feet away from you. This usually means you're speaking above what you'd normally use for someone standing right next to you, but below what you would use to speak to someone across the room. You also want to make sure your volume stays consistent. Most people aren't used to speaking at an elevated volume, so they'll start nice and loud but start to trail off near the end of their sentence. What did you say? I said they'll trail off near the end of it. They'll trail off near the end of their sentence. Got it. Be mindful of this tendency and make sure you're keeping a consistent volume from beginning to end. Your cadence, which is a combination of the rhythm and speed with which you speak, can range widely depending on your personal brand. It's okay to speak more slowly if your brand is calm and contemplative. And it's okay to speak quickly if your brand is energetic and enthusiastic. You really just want to avoid the extremes. Speaking too slowly and evenly can be boring, and it can keep people from staying engaged with your content. Speaking too quickly and erratically can make you difficult to understand. Find the sweet spot, a cadence that is engaging and easy to understand and also matches your brand style. These tips work best through experimentation. Record yourself, listen back, and make adjustments until you feel confident you're providing a quality audio experience for your viewer. If you tend to be a perfectionist or you have trouble making an objective assessment of the quality, it can help to get another set of ears in on the process. Let me know in the comments what kind of audio setup you use for your video content and what kinds of things you'd like to improve. If you want more content like this, subscribe and hit the notification bell. We release content like this every week aimed at helping creators like you succeed. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.